Hello pen friends! Today we are talking about the Lamy Lx or Lux. This pen I received as part of my 3-month subscription to the Truphae Incredible Box at the Penthusiast level. This is the pen I received, and I'll be using the ink I received in that box as well. Just to give you my opinions on this pen. What do I think of it? Do I think it's worth the cost? How does it compare to other pens in the Lamy lineup? Let's get into it right now with the parts and features, followed by some lines and some drawing, and then my final thoughts. Okay, this is how the pen arrives, and you'll know a little bit about the inside of it if you caught my first video where I received this pen as part of a subscription service from the Truphae pen company. The word is still out on whether or not I feel like that is a valuable investment, but this pen right here comes in a little tube case. Is it just me that I feel like this tube is kind of ridiculous? It says Lamy along the outside. There's these weird little rubberized things right here, and it's impossible to put it and just have the cap. It's gonna like pull the cap off, and then you have to pull the pen out. Is this better? Is this good? Is this something you would use? Let me know in the comments. I think this is ridiculous, and it doesn't provide extra value to the pen, which I think is the hope with this. I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a Lamy All-Star, but just kind of zhuzhed up. Is that a right term? I don't know, just to be extra fancy. Is it though? I don't know. Looking at the design of it, it is kind of like a golden color. I'm assuming that's not real gold. The price point puts it more expensive than a Lamy All-Star, but also not that much more expensive, so I can't imagine they spent that much more on the design. So the gold color, I don't know, it reminds me of maybe something that someone would purchase to convince you that they are good at business, but it's not actually as fancy as it looks. I don't know what the actual name of this pen is. There's not any paperwork or any information included anywhere, because it seems like, from what I understand of what the Lamy Lx is, that the clip is supposed to be like plated with some kind of precious metal, but this doesn't look like anything. It's just like gold and black. All right, if you like that color scheme, I guess this might be for you, but for me, I'm just not seeing what the extra value is. No converter is included. I do have a Lamy converter, so we'll be using that later. I'll get it out. I do like that Lamy includes these little cardboard spacers. It keeps you from puncturing the ink cartridge, which was inside the barrel of the pen. I just pulled it out off to the side because I didn't feel a reason to keep it there. Yeah, I never pull the feeds out of Lamys because they don't feel like they're supposed to go. I know it is possible, but I just never do that. And if you can see, this is a fine, and the LX model has kind of an interesting stamping on the nib. Let's look at that a little bit closer. Yeah, that is what it is. And now with that spacer removed, if I just tighten this, that would puncture the ink cartridge if it was in there. Looks like this can be attached in 2 different ways, so let me just get it so that I get the Lamy. Is that right? Yeah, so now the Lamy's in the front. It's all right. Let's see what ink we can put in here. And also, I actually want to check something. So if I have that spacer ring removed and I have it in this little case, when I pull the case and I pull on the end, do I get, okay, then I get the whole pen and not just the cap popping off and looking weird. Still, I don't know what to do with this thing. I don't think I'm gonna keep it. The case, that is. There's not much interesting that I can do with it. But all right, let's get to the next step. Fill it with ink. I'm going to be utilizing Platinum Blue Black for the ink today. This was included in the Truphae subscription box, which is how I got the pen. I like Platinum inks, so this will be great. Anyway, this is a Lamy converter. I happen to have one that we're using today, so it was not included. So not so LX after all, I suppose. But yeah, this ink bottle actually has one of those little ink, they call them ink misers, I think, little plastic inserts. So even when the bottle is almost empty, you can still get ink into the bottom there. That worked really easily. Got it's so very dark. I got a nice fill, you can see, and dabbing off the nib, we are now ready to play with our pen. Let's make some art. Having filled up the pen, let's make some test lines with it. Posts just as well as the Lamy Safari, which is a pen that I like and enjoy. This is, by the way, if you did not see it before, this is a fine nib, which is what I have for my Safari as well. Lamy has these nice wet feeds, so you really can glide across the paper, which is nice. The side effect of that is that you get some kind of thick lines. So to me, this feels more like a medium line than a fine line. To each their own. There are some that feel that Lamys don't write very wet, but from my experience from the pens that I like, it's a little on the wet side for me. But manageable. And like I said, I do like the Safari. And the pens that I have, I think this will be nice in that collection. So, yeah. I do have to say, and I'll probably say this a bunch of times in this video, this feels exactly like my Safari. And that's it is a good thing in that I like my Safari, but it's not a good thing in that I could just get another Safari for much cheaper than this pen. And why shouldn't I just do that? Why wouldn't I just recommend that pen? Because clearly, if you're someone who wants to buy a bunch of pens, I don't know. For me, it never made sense for me to collect and kind of get the same pen in different finishes, whatever. If that's your style of collecting pens, no judgment, you might actually enjoy this. For me, I'm thinking this is a pen, despite the price and despite the fact that it's very shiny and golden, it's a pen I already own. So that may play a factor. But I do like the wetness, the smoothness of the feed. It's got a nice flow. Good ink window. The molded section is not for everybody because it does force your hands into a certain way of holding it. But I already kind of use my pens in that way. So for me, that is fine. And I find that it's comfortable to hold this pen. And you can actually, with the posting, you can hold it a little further back, which... Ooh, got a little loopy there, which for drawing can be an advantage because you can hold your pen in various ways, and that way, just gives you some more options. Sometimes it gives you a different kind of control, which you can use. I'm just going to give a little bit of shadow on this block right there. There we go. Now they're interacting with each other. I've created interest in my drawing. I don't know. Whatever you guys think. Art advice. Pay attention to your second line. I may have given this advice before, but I've been thinking about it a lot. It doesn't really matter when you're drawing something how big the first line is, because that just determines your scale. Let's say I'm drawing, let's just say I'm drawing a house. If I draw this line, it doesn't matter how long it is. But if I determine that the roof of the house is the same height as the length of the house, well, then that matters, because I have to make it this long. I can't make it this and then make it this long. That changes my proportion. So then these two houses look very different from each other. If I'm just going to do a really simple version of a house compared to this one, this is just basically I'm explaining proportion. But if I wanted this to recreate this house, let's say on a smaller scale, I could do a line like this, and then I get closer to that proportion by paying attention to the second line here, where it is the same length as the roof. And the difference between what makes these two more similar to each other than these two is that relationship between the first and second line. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to draw some drawings with this pen for you, so I hope you enjoy that. So the theme for this drawing, or set of drawings I suppose, is unnecessarily fancy. Just something that something inspired me to draw about. Can't really say what, but yeah. I don't know what else to say about this pen. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just reminds me, it feels like a cash grab, to be honest. It reminds me of in the 90s when comic books were going through kind of a collector's phase, and there were like all these different versions of comics that were supposed to be famous with like holographic covers, variant covers, blah blah blah, but inside it was the same content, it was the same story. And as someone who enjoyed reading comics when I was a kid, and actually still enjoys reading comics, I care about the story. I care about the content that's inside. And I'm the same way with pens. I don't care how you dress it up. Watch me misspell dressed up and totally ruin my drawing here. So I decided to do another one, just to reward you for my mistake. But I don't care about, like I was saying, I don't care about how you dress it up. If it functions the same, if it feels the same, if it looks the same with just some slightly, some cosmetic embellishments, it's the same pen. So to me, this pen is a Lamy Safari. And at the end of the day, how do I recommend this pen over another one? And I should say it's not the Lamy Safari, it's the Lamy All-Star, because the Safari is plastic, the All-Star is aluminum. But in the same sense, I can't really see much of a difference between the All-Star and the Safari either, which is one of the reasons why I never bought an All-Star, despite that being within my budget for the kind of pens that I buy. I didn't see the point. I already have it. So that's the ultimate question. Fancy, but why? What is the reason that I should like this pen? Is it because it's collectible? You're gonna have to give me more than that, Lamy. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe you feel the same, maybe you feel different. Let me know in the comments what's been your experience if you've used one of these pens before. But that's what I think. For my final thoughts, do I like this pen? Yes. Yes, I do. I like this pen. Do I think that you should buy this pen? No, I do not. And the reason why is because the pen I really think you should buy is a Lamy Safari. And the reason you should buy a Lamy Safari is because these are essentially the same pen, just one costs a whole lot more. And if you like the Lamy Safari, then perhaps you should consider, no, still just buy the Lamy Safari. Do not spend extra money on a pen that doesn't add any extra value to it. The experience of writing with this pen is the exact same as the experience of writing with this pen. And I know there are quite a few people subscribed to my channel that don't really care for the Lamy Safari, but let me just tell you, if you don't like the Lamy Safari, the Lamy Lx will not win you over. It is essentially the same thing. That's really all I can say about it, is that it just doesn't do enough with that formula to make it something worthwhile. So save yourself some money and then take that money and buy more pens. Or whatever you do to make yourself happy. I am so happy, by the way, that you guys tuned in for this video. It's been late because of the holidays, but thank you for waiting, and thank you for liking and subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment down below. Do you own one of these pens? What is it, if you find it to be valuable, that makes it more valuable than something on the lower end like a Safari or an All-Star if you like metal pens? Let me know, because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know why this pen exists. All right, I'll see you in the next one.